Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is January 31st, 2022, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets bounce after Apple Computers posts record revenue results for that last quarter. Now, there's no major economic event scheduled for today. So as we look at the various markets this Monday morning, looking at the Forex pairs, the major pairs consolidate at the bottom of the range versus the U.S. dollar. But we're looking at the indices, both the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones bounce. The question is how much further? Now, looking at commodities, gold settles while oil pretty much unchanged. Looking at the stocks, we had a gap in gold for Apple. Some of the other stocks are really mixed. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're looking at the Euro USD, a 4-hour chart. We're getting this consolidation at this 1160-ish level. So for all intents and purposes, this is a bottom, at least for now. Now, if we look at a weekly chart, just to give us perspective, this would be somewhat of a support-ish level, right? I mean, you could see this right across the board, that we had this resistance support-ish level right here. So, you know, the fact that it's bouncing over here is totally normal, especially since we've sold off more than more than 200 pips. Now looking at the Gbp Usd, also a little bit stronger here, and in between the two moving averages. That's usually a sign, okay, if it doesn't break above that 30-day moving average, may retrace, but that's usually a breakout sign. That's the beginning of it, at least, okay? We're looking at the Aussie Dollar straggling along here, okay? Not as resilient as the other two pairs, as this has really gotten beaten up. Now looking at the commodities, first looking at gold, gold, 1788 right now, okay? Now, we're at the bottom of that interim range, let's call it. We do have a further range of 1755, but if you remember, we had this going on for quite some time. So this is still trading sideways, okay? For all intents and purposes, I don't see necessarily that we didn't sustain that upwards momentum. Okay, we definitely broke it at 1800, but we're trading sideways and we're up at a possible bottom here, okay, for the higher bottom. I mean, there's a lower bottom at 1721, but for now, it looks like we're consolidating in this area. Now, looking at oil, unchanged here, hanging around near its all-time highs at $88 a barrel at 87.68 right now. So nothing really high here. It may sell off down to 87, okay, but not major kind of moves. I don't expect it to be. Now, looking at the U.S. markets, first at the Dow Jones, this is where it's getting kind of interesting, where we finally bounced to 34,600 points after this massive sell-off that we had from 36,600. Now, this looks like a triple top here, okay, at least in the interim. I'd like to see continued buying here, possibly giving us that 35,000-ish level, okay? That's where the next real level is, okay, so resistance-wise. But ultimately, we're going to have to pay attention to the stocks, because if there's no follow-through, especially in Apple, because that's really the one to watch. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, we are breaking the 8-day moving average, but not as resilient, and I'd like to see this break above this 14,400-ish level, because this is really a very important level for it to break above. Now, looking at the individual stocks, Apple, gap up and go, okay, above its 30-day moving average on a 4-hour chart, and looking at a daily, it's getting close to it on the 30-day moving average, okay, but not enough to really call it a breakout, okay? I'd like to see further buying here, but if there's not, then the market's going to sell off, okay? That's just the nature of the beast. Now, looking at Facebook, we did get a little bit of a bounce above 300. So did Microsoft, which are the bellwethers. These are the ones that took us to new record highs at the height of the pandemic of June of 2020. Now, looking at the other stocks, Amazon getting a little bit of a lift here, but not much, and Tesla also getting a little bit of a lift, but again, not much, okay? JP Morgan, for now, we have a bottom, okay, for now, okay, until this decides to sell off again. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we're trading at 37,133. For all intents and purposes, no change for the week. So just keep that in mind, that for a Monday, especially since the Bitcoin has Bitcoin has retraced so much over the past month and a half, I would say. So with that said, you know, until it breaks either this 40,000 or 33,400, we're just going to be consolidating within this area. So it's really, you know, a very tight range for us to be trading in. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.